Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday night. Welcome to KBN Live. I'm Jeff Malott, my partner Ryan Lambert over there.
Here we are.
Back from lacrosse. I am beat. I know our two guests tonight are as well. How you doing tonight, Ryan? It's an exciting weekend.
I'm wide open, buddy. Wide dick open. Let's go.
WDO. All right. Well, as everybody followed along this weekend, we had a heck of a tournament up in lacrosse. It was a fun time up there. I wish it would have went better for myself on the second day, but I still had a blast getting to see a lot of folks that I hadn't seen in a while up there. And I wanted to say shout out to Ryan for giving me a little gassing me up a little bit on the group page on day one when I was making a run, man.
We were rooting for you, Jeff. I mean, that's how this show goes. I was hoping I'd see you and Dylan both cashing some checks up there, man. You kind of hurt my feelings there.
I know, man. I know. You know, I tell you what, these BOS fields, as you know, as the grand champion in a BOS winner, you can't mess around. You can't slip up at all, or you will get blown by like a dang NASCAR track. And especially at lacrosse, because the limits are so tucked together. If you don't stay consistent with what you're putting up, or put up a giant limit like our guest Jay's put up, you're in deep trouble. You got to stay on them up there.
I think it's cool seeing those fisheries though where it is so tight, because I think that gives you more motivation to kind of fish harder, because you know that one big bite can completely change your day. I mean, that, like Watts Bar this year when Ewing was leading it, I knew I needed like a 19-inch fish to have a shot at it. And on a day where like a 13-inch fish was great, like that seems like kind of how the fishery at lacrosse sets up, to where it's not, there's not those 23, 24-inch, big phenoms coming in, but if you get an 18 or 19-inch bite, like you're moving 10 spots, 15 spots up the list.
Yeah. I looked at the list after the fact, and if I just hook a 17-incher at some point in the afternoon and get rid of a 12, I move up 10 spots almost, and that is all the difference in these TOC points. Because right now I think I'm going to be right on the edge of being in the points. So every point counts and every inch counts. So crazy, but it was fun, man. It was cool to see a lot of people catching fish, big swings on day two, and had a blast eating dinner with some folks on a couple different nights. Learned some new language up there that I didn't know before.
What'd you come up with?
We had Mark and Dylan and I had dinner with RJ Hoover on Saturday night, and he coined the term cheese balls instead of cheese curds. He was ordering cheese balls, and then he had the waitress saying curd balls by the end of the night. I don't know
curd balls. All right.
I don't know how that happened, but they were delicious regardless.
I like it.
Yeah. Then I learned Jim Clark's a good bago partner, or cornhole, as you know it.
Whoa. Did you just call it bago?
Yeah, there's a company called the Bago Company in Hot Springs. They make the bago boards.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
But cornhole's what it's called. Even in Ohio, it's called cornhole, man.
Yeah, it is cornhole. That's what it is.
Yeah, I know. So we ran through some folks there. That was fun. But, yeah, great time. Great time. And, of course, we've got Matthew Brannon, the champion, and third-place finisher and probably the hottest angler in kayak fishing right now, maybe, Jay Wallen. And I mean his fishing, his ability. Right?
Have you seen his swimsuit calendar?
No, not yet anyway.
That's where he gets the name.
Okay, so we got those, and then shout out to Russ Snyders. He finished runner-up. You know, Russ did what Russ does, and, you know, finished up there once again.
Sorry we didn't bring him on again for the 15th time, but we're trying to give the guy a break.
Yeah, we'll have him on at some point. And we always like to have Jay on, friend of the program.
So. Oh, yeah.
What else we want to talk about before we get these guys on here? I know they're tired and want to talk.
We had an interesting day on the Nation. It was very reminiscent of the old days. I guess there's some kind of beef going on between Basquatch and Ike. Ike's new show launches tonight. I think it's 9 p.m. on CBS Sports. But basically, he goes around and fishes with different people in their profession. I think there's like a bull rider, an MMA fighter, a football player, that kind of thing. So he'll fish with them, but then he'll do whatever they do. So, like, I think he learns to ride a bull and fights a dude in a cage and, you know, whatnot. I don't know the details on this. I mean, obviously there's two sides to every story, but what made it apparent was McKinstry going around, like, posting on Ike's socials, like, plugging his new show. This is my idea. Like, oh, way to take notes. Be like Mike or some shit. And I'm like, come on, man. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about things. And if you do feel like that, you know, he did steal an idea from you or whatever, I would probably take that up like on a more professional legal route even, and not just, you know, look like some kid throwing rocks at something shiny on the internet.
It was a bad look, and then an even worse look on the actual video page trying to defend it. So,
well, we expected that.
I don't know. I kind of had forgot about it all until I saw that, so that's pretty funny stuff.
It was a good time, for sure.
Yeah, good time. Who knows? I'll go back and check the comments later. It's probably grown a little bit, but always some good zingers in there on KB.
I want to keep the rest. I actually made a list. I actually did my homework, so I got a few things that we'll touch on with our guests on the show from the last week.
Okay. Good stuff. Well, let's not mess around. I know these guys. I know Matt's on the road and Jay is tired as he can be. So let's get him in here.
Bless his heart.
And talk about it.
Let's do it.
Take a quick break. We'll be right back, y'all.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, there we go. Jay Wallen, Matthew Brannon, thank you both for joining us. The champ, Matt Brannon, and Jay Wallen steadily climbing that AOI, man. Thank y'all for taking the time tonight.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
You sound sleepy, Jay.
Damn, I didn't say anything.
Matthew, where are you at right now? Obviously, you're in a vehicle. Where in the United States are you?
I'm in Rapid City, South Dakota right now. We just stopped for dinner.
Okay. South Dakota's a nice spot.
It was better to do this than try and do it while on the road.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I'll give you credit for that one.
Well, yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight, fellas, because obviously I was at this one, so I've got a little perspective on how the place was fishing, and I think on day two some things changed, and some people adjusted and some people didn't. You guys obviously did, so let's talk about the event. I mean, we'll start with the champ, Matthew. How long were you there? What did you get figured out before the tournament started?
We were actually there for 2 weeks. Amanda's got a nonprofit for introducing women to the outdoors, and they had their event the weekend prior. So I only fished for 3 days. I fished Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Found 3 spots. One of them was a huge school up in the marsh. I didn't fish any main river stuff. I went out and tried one day for smallies. I'm just not a smallmouth guy. But I don't know. I had good water the first day of the tournament. I had clean water, and as that mud made its way down, it got a little tougher. So I lost one spot completely to mud. It turned into chocolate milk, and it was running pretty quick coming out. I don't know what river that was that feeds into the Mississippi there, but it blew that spot out completely. And that was one of my big fish spots where I'd get in 17 and a half, 17 and 3/4. So luckily that the big school I found, they stayed the whole time. So that's how I was able to get my two decent limits.
You want to drop what pool you were in? Or are you keeping that close to the vest?
No, I was down in 9. That's only my second time in Lacrosse. I fished the Black River 2 years ago when I was there for a KBF event, and practice was fantastic. Caught some big smallies, but on tournament day there was nothing there. So I just kind of reached out and tried some new areas this time, and 9 looked like what I grew up fishing back home in South Carolina, so I stuck on there.
I got you. And Jay, we had dinner Friday, and you talked about you were on a little something. I kind of saw the twinkle in your eye, like you had something figured out. So, what'd you find practicing, man?
Well, it was a little area that I actually found last year, and of course I got there this year, and it was completely dry, and so there was only one slough that actually had enough water in it that I could even think about getting my kayak up in there, and it was pretty low. I mean, there was basically a ditch that if you stayed in the ditch, it was maybe a foot and a half, but outside of that ditch, it was 6 inches of water, but the fish were there. I found them on Thursday. It was no problem. I went in there and got a limit real quick. And, so I backed out of there and tried to find some other stuff in the area. And I had a couple areas that I thought, were also holding fish, but, as that water came up, that spot literally just got better and better and better. I heard a lot of people talking about, Matt brought it up, that a lot of people's area got kind of blown out, a little muddy, a little chocolate milk. My area stayed clean. That water that was coming up in there, it was not muddy at all. I don't know. I don't have an explanation for that, but a lot of that water coming in there was clean. So, and there was literally every kind of vegetation. I fished hydrilla, duckweed, eelgrass, lily pads, and then there were these reeds and bank grass. Like, there was literally every kind of grass you could imagine. There was American pond weed is what I think it is, that little spade leaf with the red and green. And 3 of my biggest fish came out of that kind of grass. So I started really focusing on the different mixtures of grass, and you could start to see patterns there. Anywhere the lily pads and the duckweed were kind of mixed in, a little bit of hydrilla, that's kind of where it was going down.
I got you.
Yeah.
I don't know who else fished the main river. I fished the main river myself, and up in Pool 8, and was fishing some wing dams. And when that water came up, it really didn't get muddy, but the current really started pushing. I guess they were pushing water all the way through, and it just threw everything out of whack on Sunday for me. I don't know if that happened to anyone else. If there's anyone watching that was there, I'd like to know your story, so you can suffer along with me. But it sounded like where you guys were held up. Were you down in Pool 9 too, Jay, or no?
I was 8, 9.
You were on the Mississippi River. Were you on the Mississippi River somewhere?
I was definitely on the Mississippi River.
Okay, I got you.
That's good.
It's kind of where 7, 8, and 9 meet.
In
that
between?
little area. Yeah. Kind of
Okay.
right in that. Yeah.
In the lock between 8 and 9? Is that where it was?
Right.
I like that.
Oh boy.
I like
And
that.
you were on 2 completely different bites, if I recall. I watched the award ceremony. Jay, you caught most of yours on a frog, correct?
Every single one. Yeah.
And Matt, you did not. You actually ended up kind of switching up techniques. I think you said a bladed jig, and then you had to switch to just a bottom bouncing jig, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So in
Look at
practice, I found them. I caught them on top water, bladed jig. I threw a frog in practice. Day 1, like I said, my third spot was getting pretty chocolate milk. Up in the grass and the duckweed and stuff, it still was somewhat clean. And I threw a horny toad a little bit and caught some fish, but they were small. So anything I caught of size ended up on the first day being on that Picasso shock blade. And then day 2, I actually saw it on day 1 throughout the day. My area got muddier and muddier. By day 2, my primary spot with that big school had gotten pretty muddy. I started off with the shock blade in there, and it would hit it, but I wasn't actually hooking it up. I did that for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes that morning, just waiting on that bite to come on. Swapped colors a couple times, tried to go to darker colors. Nothing worked. So I decided to swap over to that jig. I had those, like I said, it was like 3/8 ounce Picasso rocket. A little, basically like a Rocky style head. It's a small jig, so it kind of comes through that grass pretty good. It's got a 4-wire tungsten weed guard on it. Started sticking a missile-based D-bomb, the full size on the back of it, which kind of a little bit too big for that jig, but I think it helped that D-bomb kind of make it float over the top of some of that grass. And yeah, as soon as that thing hit the bottom, they were filling it.
And you said you were fishing like a
out.
current seam, right? Like where like
Yep.
2 creeks or channels or something came together, and that's what those fish were really positioned on?
Right. And so in practice, I found my fish on the outside of weed lines, and when the water came up, you couldn't follow the weed lines anymore. But that big school, it was 2 creeks came together on the point where they touched. There was a big grass bed with sand, I guess a sand drop off the end of it. And man, they were loaded on the outside of that sand drop.
That's awesome. Sounds like a good spot there for sure.
I'm trying to get these comments looking straight. Okay.
They're not looking straight. You put Jim's picture up there with
Oh,
it.
no.
So-
My bad. My bad.
Jim selfie, literally.
Yeah. All right. I think I got it all set.
You got it? You good? All right, we're good.
Yeah,
We're
all
back
right,
on
all
track
right.
now,
We're
guys.
back on track. All right. Bob Bailey had a question in the comments. How many pike, sheep's head, whatever did you guys catch this week? Any by-catches, as they say?
I caught 1 bowfin and 2 pike. And that was it. The rest were bass.
What about you, Matthew?
I caught a 2 freshwater drum. I had a 22-inch walleye, a 24.5-inch walleye.
Wow.
Probably 25 pike.
Whoa.
It was pretty nuts. That walleye the big walleye came out of a 1.5 foot of water in the grass.
Weird.
What were the pike eating? Jackhammer, or sorry, shock blades?
No, that was frogs.
Really? All right.
All frogs. Yep.
I had a pike eat the shower blow, Jay Wallen's favorite topwater.
Ooh.
Hey.
And
Were you throwing the mini shower blow? Or
no,
were you
I was throwing
big one?
the big one.
Going after him. I like it.
Yeah, I was going after
go
him.
after him.
And there were bass in the area, so when it first hit, I thought it was one, but it was
Yeah.
not. Then I caught a pretty big drum that I also thought was going to be the kicker of the day.
I caught a giant walleye up there on the French Broad in the TOC, like first thing in the morning on a shower blow. I thought it was a giant smallmouth. I was wrong. It wasn't at all.
I got 4 of those mega bass big habit frogs that are just shredded from a pipe. I was super gluing them together on the water.
I catch the Seminole, especially those chain pickerel down there, man. Like I cannot keep them off a jackhammer. Like they eat them, and they're so toothy. You know, they just cut the line. It's over with after about 3 seconds of fighting them.
So let's go through day one, man. We kind of went all over the place with how the overall tournament went, but day one, Matt, were you crowded over there? Did you have the area to yourself? How did day one go for you?
I had one other kayaker that launched where I did, bunch of boats, but everybody seemed to stay in the main river. Like I said, I didn't see any boats or kayakers in the marsh where I was the entire tournament. Day one, they didn't have a tournament out of that ramp, so that was kind of nice. Day 2, they did, so there was a bunch of boats I could hear running up down the river, but I didn't have any pressure where I was.
Did you know you were going to win?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, all right. Okay. all right.
I stayed with Matthew Scott stayed with us a few nights. Guillermo stayed with us, and so did Christine Fisher. And 3 days practice fishing, I hit 81, 83, and 86 inches. And I told them at the house, I was like, there's no way that's enough to win because I'm just don't fishing. I don't know the place. And I fished 3 different areas. And they were like, oh, no, I think that'll catch a check. And I'm like, I said, I would hope that that's just going to be average. But I think what saved me or what was good for me was the fact that the conditions did change. I know some people were on some really big smallmouth, and I know that muddy water had to hurt those smallmouth bite.
I tell you, from Friday to Saturday, it changed quite a bit. But between Friday to Sunday, on the main river, it was a huge difference with like I said, just with the current and the way the wind was blowing around from the opposite direction. It was a wild deal on the main river compared to practice.
Did you at any point wish you had a 360, Jeff?
No.
He's
Wind
lying.
wasn't that bad.
Now the wind wasn't beating me up. It was just going the opposite direction of the current. You know what I mean?
I kid.
Yeah. But anyway.
So Jeff, I mean, I want, like, we know you went with the main river deal, but Jay, did you think, did you feel like you had a good shot at it? Were you feeling pretty confident going into it, or was it kind of a crapshoot? Like, I'm just going to see how this plays out.
I didn't think. I mean, I knew I was on something good. I knew it was enough to cash a check. I didn't know how good some of those other boys were on stuff. Some of the. I mean, obviously Christine was posting up some smallies. I knew if someone could get on the smallmouth 2 days in a row, they would be hard to beat.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to do that, which is why when I go up there, I don't target smallmouth at all. I'll take my chances with, 83, 84 inches of largemouth 2 days in a row and, see where I shake out.
What is it that makes those smallmouths so unpredictable up there, do you think? Because it seems like, and Christine mentioned it before the tournament, every year she'll get on a consistent big smallmouth bite, and it's gone. Like, it's gone on tournament day.
I could be mistaken and wrong, but I feel like last year the same thing happened to, was it Jackson Orr? I think the same thing happened to him. He was crushing them in practice, big smallmouth, and it left him. They do that.
I don't know why they move so much though. Like, I mean, if you go down the Tennessee River or whatever, like, especially current related fish, they're pretty predictable. They're pretty stacked up where they have to be. I don't know why they move so much up there. Is there not a lot of current, or what is? I don't understand what it is that allows them to move that much.
I'm not a river guy, so I don't know the answer.
That's very true. You say that shit, and then you've cashed 2 big checks off 2 rivers in the last, month and a half?
I don't know where they go, man. I'll tell you this. I stayed on the main river, and the only reason I did was because I was catching probably 75, 80% largemouth on those wing dams, and I thought they would stay.
Yeah.
And there were some bigger smallmouth in there, but they did vacate on Sunday for sure.
That's crazy.
But the largemouth stayed, but I think they were still there. I just couldn't figure out how to get them to fire because I was still catching some, but they just weren't eating like they were.
And Matt, you said you had some smallmouth that actually pulled into your spot. Like, when everybody else was struggling and their bite was kind of dying off as the water muddied up, you had smallies that moved into your largemouth spot, correct?
I did. And I don't know that they moved in. So in practice, all I caught was pulled 4 largemouth out of that spot in practice where that big school was. But I was getting hits. I mean, you'd have a fish hit it, hook up for 10 seconds, lose him, and another one would grab it instantly. So I knew there was a big school there. But it was all largemouth. And then day 1 was all largemouth. Day 2, I had swapped to that jig. So maybe that was the difference, and the smallies were on the bottom underneath them. I don't know. But I probably caught 50 fish out of that school on Sunday, and I would say I had 15 smallmouth out of that.
Wow. And it sounds like the folks, like you guys in the I'm going to call it the backwaters or up in the sloughs or wherever, that stuff got better with the rising water, not worse. As opposed to folks that were out in the open.
I can tell you, I did a float on 9 on Sunday and got picked up 6 miles downriver. And the farther I went down in pool 9, the cleaner it got. It was gin clear at the bottom of 9.
Just from reading Jesse and Elvis comments that you threw up there, Jeff, I think you two may be related. You may want to do the little family tree thing. You two could be related.
Jesse and Elvis?
They could be.
Yeah.
They could be.
Yeah.
I like it.
Elvis is throwing some knowledge in the comments. But, yeah, so Jay, Matt, you were 82, 84. I mean, consistent as can be. I'll tell you guys limits up there. But, Jay, you were down in the, mid to high 20s after day 1?
Yeah, I was like 27th, I think.
Yeah, and, I mean, I know you got to take that with a grain of salt because the limits are so close there that a couple inches make 20 spots worth of difference. But still, did you lack any confidence going into day 2 in spite of not going, going how you wanted on day 1?
No, in all honesty, I knew I was gonna tear him up on Sunday. that area that I was in, I kind of laid up a little bit. I didn't know how good it was. I didn't know if there was enough fish in there to really last. So I went in there on the first day. I caught my limit pretty quick, culled 3 times, and was like, I started getting nervous about it because I was, culling 15-inch fish, and it's like, man, I'm going to need these tomorrow. And so I left it. I left it, and I probably should have stayed in there until I hit 80, 81 inches, something like that, just to give myself a little bit better chance. But I knew Sunday I was going to go in there, and I was going to stay in there all day and just hammer them. So I kind of reluctantly, I didn't go as hard as I feel like I should have. That's okay. I don't have any regrets about it.
I mean, I think you did plenty there. As we've mentioned,
yeah. I mean, I saved
Angler of the Year race, man. Like you're qualified for the TOC. You're sitting pretty to make a move on AOY. So I think you really checked all the boxes you needed to check on that one for sure.
Yeah.
So Matt, was this your first Hobie event of the year, or not?
First one of the year, yeah. This is only the second
Okay.
Hobie event ever. I fished Gunnersville 2 years ago and took third down there.
Okay.
Back then, I was in Charleston on a ship, so I was always out at sea and couldn't make it. So when I qualified for the TOC that time, I ended up not being able to go. And then now I'm back in California, and it's so far to the tournament, so I don't get to fish the Hobie events.
I got you. I was just curious if you were going to make a push for the AOY if you had another one under your belt, but obviously it's one and done. You can just kind of rest easy and get to that TOC.
No, he's going to hit the California BO. Never mind. I say that because Tim Arthur's little smart ass is in the comments, and he said a California guy wins. Huh, interesting. Matt is not a California guy, Tim. Matt, have you ever worn lipstick? Be honest.
Definitely not.
He's not a California guy, so get out of here.
You wear 3 masks outside. Never mind. That's too far. That's too far.
Bless it.
No politics or pandemic talk.
Keep both of those, both the P's, 3 P's out of here.
3 P's out.
Wait, what? Never mind.
Yeah, bad stuff. Bob Baylor's in the comments, Ryan. He had quite a weekend too, didn't he?
Bob Baylor, my boy. So Bob won in the JT auction. Bob won the Co Wetzel backstage experience memorabilia pack, all this stuff. So Co was playing in Iowa this past weekend, and I get a text from Co's manager, and he's like, your boy Bob's having the time of his life side stage right now. And then Bob sends me all these pictures and videos and stuff. So he got to cash in on his auction winning. Congrats, Bob. I hope you had a blast, man. I know that those guys definitely show you a good time when you're around.
You imagine. That had to be a blast. Let's see if
I can't imagine. I guarantee it was a blast. 10 out of 10. I'm going to send those guys. The dugout just dropped some new flowery hats today. I'm going to send those guys a couple of them for sure.
There's Bob having the time of his life. Packers shirt and all.
Yeah. I showed Steve-O. Steve-O was so proud. Steve-O loves, he's a big Packers fan. Yeah, that's a good crowd to get in the middle of there.
Anybody watching, we appreciate y'all watching. Please give us, if you have any questions, shoot them over for Matt or Jay tonight. I know there's some people asking already about Pickwick because this is probably one of the closest turnarounds Hobie's had this year, isn't it? Just a couple weeks and they're turning around on Pickwick.
I mean, they usually have the closer turnarounds, but when they do, it's not in the same kind of accessible wheelhouse to people. You know, last year I think it was Susky and the real Hobie BOS in California, but that was like 2 weeks I think because Kate drove from the Susky all the way out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's right.
So this one's coming in 2 weeks. Sherwood wants to know what's it going to take to win at Pickwick. We're not even talking about lacrosse yet, but he's wanting to know what's going to win there.
Sherwood ain't even coming to Pickwick anymore. Don't worry about it, Sherwood. It's going to take fishing it. 10 fish.
I'll let y'all read Josh Evans' comment there.
Oh. So actually, neither. I'm going to answer this. Neither. No, hang on.
Oh, Jay.
Ike wouldn't even have to show up. Becky could step in and handle that.
Oh,
That's a fact. That is
I know
a fact.
it's a fact. I know
Mhm.
it is. Yeah. I could just sit back and let his lady handle that.
That ain't no
business.
lie.
Be pulling it
I
back.
don't doubt that Basquatch wouldn't show up for the fight. You look at that boy's nose; he ain't ever missed a fight. Ain't never missed one.
Wild times.
Oh,
Joey Randall said Queen City's coming strong to Pickwick. They must be bringing some East Coasters to Pickwick.
you
Heck
kidding?
yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, everybody's
We're getting a
making-
house down there, so hit us up, Joey. We need to hang out this time.
I'll answer Sherwood's question, though. I think it's going to take an average of about 92 to 93 inches a day to
Whoa.
win Pickwick.
It's like that, huh?
Jay with the long shot.
Just letting you know how it's going to go.
92 inches?
He's going.
Average,
he,
yeah.
he is coming
What?
for the AOI,
It's
right?
Pickwick, bro.
It is
Pickwick.
Pickwick, but you've seen the last few Pickwick tournaments, hadn't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Jay's feeling this momentum.
Jay's
No, I'm
got
not saying
so
it's gonna
tied
be
up.
me. Hey, listen.
Listen, the last tournament I live covered Jay Wallen, I passed a fish barrel hanging off a dock. So I ain't going to doubt Jay anymore. If he says they're there, they're there. All right? They may be
Russ
spitting up
Snyder's-
goldfish, but they're there.
Russ Snyder's going to step in and hang 91 one day and probably 93 another.
Oh. Okay.
I'm just saying, that's what the man's going to roll down there and do it.
He'll probably roll down there and catch some.
I
I don't doubt that.
I need some juice. I've never fished Pickwick in my life. This will be the first one, so I'm looking forward to it.
Pickwick's a cool fishery. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got big largemouth in the grass. It's got big largemouth on ledges. It's got big smallmouth, in creeks, rocky points, current. There's big boulders. There's super deep grass on Pickwick. You can kind of pick your strength and focus on it. But if you try to focus on everything, then you'll fall on your face. So be careful with that.
Jesse talking about the bites picked up. Jay calling that one right, he says.
I don't believe it. I don't believe Jesse or Jay.
I'll make a believer out of you yet.
Neither one of them. I'll see you at the TOC. There's a nice little bar down on Eufaula. I've already been sent the location. You go make a believer out of me right there.
Is it the Hilltop? Dylan told me stories about the Hilltop. Okay.
You got to have a club
I
membership
was
to
there
get
as a
in.
dry county.
Yeah, well, you got to have a club membership. We're going to be fine.
Yeah. So both these guys were doing something a little bit different, catching them a little bit different. So I know that people watching have some questions about it. So fire them off. We'll try to get them to these guys as fast as we can. We got a few people on Facebook, a few people on YouTube. So I appreciate y'all watching. Of course, you can always help us out and click that little share button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps us out. Distributing this information to folks. But yeah, I think the event, it was kind of a rainy couple days leading up to the weekend. But overall, I think Lacrosse is a great host. What'd y'all think of the town? They always do a good job hosting kayakers up there, don't they?
Absolutely. 2 years ago was our first time there. Amanda and I both loved it. Talked about getting a place up there. This time it was no different. All the people are great. The venue's great. I was just chatting with another guy. He was talking about how there's so much pressure up there. They have 2 to 5 tournaments a weekend out of Lacrosse. I was like, in California, that's average every day, all day on a Delta, on Clear Lake. I said, that's normal to me.
Yeah, there's that many
yeah,
dog
it's-
fights on Nickajack down here every day.
It's it's cool to be able to fish somewhere when you set the hook. You don't know what it's going to be. Smallmouth, largemouth, pike, drum, whatever. And, the fish aren't giant, but, man, they sure make up for it with attitude. Them fish on a frog, it's unreal the way they blow up on a frog up there.
Right. I wish we'd have had the Possum King on to answer this question.
I saw that just come. I was about to type and reply it. Mark Pendergraph crawled all over some gas station parking lot while he was up there. Poor boy.
Blaming it on COVID.
Mark has recovered from COVID, and we're glad that he did. But apparently, we're going to have to keep a real close eye on his intake from now on. I didn't know that was a side effect, but it is.
Yeah, the King was feeling himself Thursday night, but not so much Friday, from what I understand. So,
Oh, my boy.
Bless his heart. I don't know if anyone else did any of that. Dylan was along for the ride, but
Oh, they did. They found a house bar somewhere. It was like a literal house that someone turned into a bar. They seem to have a nice adventure there as well.
yeah, there's a lot of them in Lacrosse. I tell you what, about every 10 steps downtown, it seemed like there's some bar down there. So,
I really hate that I missed that. It sounds like a good venue, to be honest.
And
It's
the
a
people are
drinking
so-
town for sure.
yeah, and the people are so nice. Everybody was so eager to help. Like the waitresses were nice. The people at the gas stations were nice. It was cool. Even the drunkard homeless people wandering around the ramps were nice.
Yes. Yeah, you found some interesting ramps, Jeff, that you sent us pictures of with lots of minivans and whatnot parked up and down the sides.
Yeah, I think I could have bought literally anything I wanted on that dark road.
With $5 cash.
Yeah, $5. Maybe traded some of the stuff in the back of my car. I don't know.
McDonald's gift card.
Yeah.
Oh my
I tell you
goodness.
what, the one thing I'll tell you all a funny story I didn't realize until later. Where I launched was pretty much on the main river. You could see downtown from where I launched, and straight across from where I was, you could see a bunch of tents. And I thought, well, dang, that's a weird place for a campground, but it's going to be like, I bet some guys are staying there and they're going to come straight over here to my stuff, but I'm going to fish it anyway because they were loaded in there on Friday. Well, come to find out, that is not a campground. That is a homeless encampment straight across from where I launched, right there in the middle of town. So no one bothered
Okay.
me from there. No one.
That's no, they didn't have kayaks.
They did not have kayaks, so that was
Okay.
bizarre. Yeah.
So no, I'm not. I was gonna say something completely inappropriate. I'm not going to. Situational question. So Kyle Schroeder, he posted a video of him fishing in Texas, and this pontoon boat runs over his line. It takes off with his bait. Matt, what are you doing in that situation?
I don't think you have a whole lot of option at that point. Pray you don't have braid.
Just wave at him. Have you ever had
Just
anything
wave.
like that happen?
Absolutely. I would say by far Clear Lake's probably the most. And you hate to talk bad about people, but it's about the worst place you can go for that, especially in a kayak. I mean, you can literally be fishing a dock and have two boats pull up on either side of you and cast across your line there. And I've never had people encroach so much as I do on Clear Lake.
Really? Do you think it's
just
because
a
they're
common
Californian or because of the water itself?
Absolutely. Clear Lake's a big lake, but it fishes small. And originally, I thought it was because I was in a kayak and they were in boats. But man, they do it to me in the bass boat too. I mean, they just don't
Really?
care.
They just don't care, huh?
Yeah.
So we got a question from Tim Arthur. But before I do that, I meant to ask either one of you have you ever been attacked by a wood stork? We heard that story from across too.
Yeah, I had to get some clarification on what exactly a wood stork is.
You heard this yet, Ryan?
No. Did this happen in the minivan?
No, Mark Pendergraph at dinner claimed to be attacked by a wood stork.
Is that why he was puking?
I guess, I don't know, but he told us the harrowing story of the wood stork that jumped in his kayak while he was practicing.
What was it
delivering
trying to
bait.
get?
I don't know. He didn't have his GoPro on. I thought he was going to be the new Drew Gregory goose attack guy, but it didn't all. He didn't have.
Gosh. Possum King, this was your chance to be famous, man. Keep it rolling. We talked about this.
Yeah, I think Jay and Jim Clark did some biology or zoology research and figured out that was not a wood stork. It was some sort of native bird. But still,
Jim Clark Googled it, I think is what happened.
yeah. Okay,
Jim
yeah.
just said it was a pelican.
That's what he confirmed. It was a pelican.
Very similar to a wood stork.
Yeah.
That was the funniest part of the story, to be honest.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, let's get back to the question.
Katie's throwing up links to wood stork.
My
All right.
God.
Jesus. Okay.
Hey,
Sorry to put us on that detour, Ryan.
We're all the way off the reservation here.
So Tim Arthur asked, have either of you fished this water before? How much practice time did you have? So whoever wants to go first, jump in there.
Go ahead, Jay.
I fished there in 2018. Fished there last year in 2020, and then this year in 2021. And I really had 2 days of practice, but on Friday I was on the water for maybe 3 hours in between storms, and finally just gave up and got off the water. So, yeah. But I've definitely spent some time up there.
I fished it in 2019. I spent, I think, 3 days on the water before the tournament, and of course the tournament day when we had the KBF event. And then this time I spent 3 days practicing. So, and all different launches every time.
All right. Y'all think they'll go back next year?
I hope so.
Again? It seems to be a staple every year.
That one seems to pull in the big tournaments. And I think it's because, like you were saying, the community support, like the whole, all the restaurants and bars and venues kind of getting in behind it. I think that's what keeps pulling that back. Maybe their fish will grow before next year. I
was really surprised to see 110. I know leading up to it, the numbers, we were all kind of watching it thinking, it was a perfect opportunity to have a low turnout. You got COVID obviously making a surge. School starting back. People are getting busy in the fall. It's been a long season. A lot of people are opting out. So, not to mention it's in Wisconsin. It's a long drive for the core of the guys that travel. It's a long way. And for them to put up 110, I think really says a lot.
Wisconsin's not in the Southeast, is it?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh my God! And they put up 110.
Right. Somebody must travel.
That is crazy.
I think half of them were from the South, which I didn't think the South traveled, according to some naysayers. So
that is crazy.
Shocking developments all over. I think they all just went for the spotted cow. I don't know.
I didn't see. You brought home cases of spotted cow. Dylan called me this morning at 6:30 because why the hell wouldn't I be up at 6:30 on a Monday morning? And he's like, "Hey, you want me to drop you off a couple cases of spotted cow? I'm passing by your house." And I was like, "No, I want to sleep for 2 more hours. Why did you do this?"
Yeah, I snuck a little bit of that home.
Cow.
Yeah, I learned about that one too.
I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
The mango cow, that was a good one. You ever partake in that one, Ryan?
I've had my GE, our home office was in Milwaukee, or Waukesha, actually. So I used to go up there all the time and drink plenty of spotted cow. So I'm very familiar with the parent beverage, but I've never tried the mango. What is that just a different
They just make
flavor?
it at the bar, I think. I don't know. They make
Oh,
it.
oh, it's just homemade.
I don't remember what the other one was. Pendergraft's the one that was talking about it so much.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the one that got it started.
Of course.
The half and
Of
half.
course he was. That makes more sense now.
Lambert, what are you sipping on over there? I see Western Sun, but that's not vodka, is it? What is that?
This is it's an Asian beer called Yingling. It's out of Pennsylvania. By the way, congrats to Texas. I've gotten a lot of DMs and a lot of stories from their first experience with Yingling. Apparently, it hits a little different. It's a little heavier than what they're used to out there.
That's a Western Sun vodka koozie, isn't it?
It is. They sent us some because they knew
that
it would be much safer to send me a koozie just in case I went down this road.
Yeah. If you remember night one of the Western Sun partnership, Ryan drank almost an entire bottle of I think it was grapefruit. I'm not sure. So he had to.
It was prickly pear.
Yeah, prickly pear.
With the cans of whatever that was, Moscow Mule. I didn't think it had enough. I didn't know that it had already enough in it, so I put more inside it, and I haven't done that since.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
good.
better to go with the koozie and beer than an entire bottle of.
It's
the
a little
Western.
safer.
Right,
It's a little
right.
safer.
Well, okay. Good deal.
Yeah. Any more questions for these guys? I've got a picture pulled up here just so you guys can see. Stork versus pelican. I could see the confusion except for the long legs and.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Pendergraft had no idea what either one of those birds are. He has no idea. None.
You're
The
right.
sandhills, too. They were everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's probably more likely what it actually was the sandhill crane. But.
Imagine if he'd have been attacked by both. He wouldn't be here with us today. It's been a terrible story.
Oh no, Old Town be trying to fill that position.
Oh, bless him. It was great hanging out with the Possum King. A lot of laughs over those couple of days.
You can't beat him. There was another post on KBN, and I also want these two professionals' opinion on it. Using drugs not on yourself, on your fish to make them lay still on the board. Like that's our biggest problem that we have in kayak fishing.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
I didn't see that.
Game
missed that
changer. Game changer.
No.
Could we use anesthesia on drugs? On
wish.
drugs, on fish.
Are you on drugs right now?
Hell, I might be. I don't know. Propofol.
Okay.
I lost.
Anyway,
I don't, even know
opinions.
what, I don't even know what to say about that.
It was there. I did my research tonight.
Day one, I lost a 16.5-inch smallmouth that I didn't get a picture of because it jumped off the board.
Okay. So you could use
I
some
would have loved to have some
sedative.
anesthesia on that one.
And yeah, another A+ for lacrosse is they've got sharp disposal containers at some of the ramps. So if you did have to use that,
Are you kidding?
I swear.
That's awesome.
Just like fishing in California.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So what kind of pharmaceutical concoction are we giving these fish? That
I don't know. I mean, they
That's-
literally listed out a couple different like anesthetics to like
Special
relax
K
them.
or
And some guy was talking about, and I remember this because this guy, I met him at the ramp at Seminole on day 2. I was taking Dylan. He grabbed the wrong drive, and I was taking his drive out to switch or something, or taking him a ride or some bullshit. Anyway, this guy at the ramp, he's sitting there telling me, this old man, and he's like, y'all got to measure them fish, right? And I was like, yeah, man. And he's like, how do you get them to lay still? I was like, it's kind of tricky. Like, you know, sometimes they'll jump off the board or jump out of the boat or whatever. He said, I tell you, he said, if you take a little vodka and rub it up on their gill plate, they'll lay real still. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. So that's one solution. If that's going to change the game, this
So I need
really
to keep
may
little mini bottles
expand.
of Western Sun vodka.
This could really expand this Western Sun sponsorship here if we can
like
get people starting to get their fish drunk before they measure them.
So when I go out fishing the next time, I'm going to bring one of those little travel bottles and we'll do a live field test and see what happens.
Let's check the local laws and make sure that's okay first.
No.
Clove oil. Bob just brought up clove oil. There you go.
I'll go to Missouri. It's a lawless land up there. We'll do it up there.
Randy Creason said ivermectin.
That just cures COVID.
Hell yeah. We'll have them fish wormed and COVID proof. In just a second. The next thing I have on my cheat sheet here, Jeff, a guy asked about does anybody paddle kayaks anymore? And I know these two don't, but we do have like I don't know, several guys that use paddle kayaks in these bigger tournaments. I can think of Drew Gregory and Russ will paddle his as well in bigger tournaments. So there's definitely still some guys hanging on to it. Jeff, you're obviously in an old town. Jay, you can go ahead and tell us about your setup, and then we'll move on to Matt.
Well, I'm just in that Hobie PA14, the 360 drive.
How's that working out?
It's been fantastic.
You
Yeah,
paddle
that
it?
boat's awesome. Absolutely not. No.
Absolutely. All right. What about you, Matt?
I'm in a standard PA 14, but I definitely had to paddle on the strip. I had a couple ponds that I fished that you had to. I didn't paddle so much as I used to paddle as a push pole to get into them.
Right.
But Guillermo
Everybody
Gonzalez,
forgets.
he was up there at the top with a paddle.
Yeah.
And his Diablo.
Everybody forgets he always paddles. It ain't like
Yeah.
and it's always been that way. It's
Yep.
nothing new. I mean, I know he throws a trollometer on there sometimes when the tournament allows, but he's always doing damage with a paddle yak.
The fish don't seem to know. Like I don't think they check generally.
No. And I know there's been 9 Hobie events this year. I know at least 2 have been won by dudes paddling, right? Am I crazy on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that dude at Champlain sunk his 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. And then Nick, with Dardanelle Nick, won paddling. Dropped in off the side of the road.
Yeah. Hell, I got there 5 minutes before the tournament, just slid it off the roof rack in there. I was like, wow, all right.
Yeah. That's all you got to do.
It's pretty cool.
I ended up seeing him on the TV, man. He's like some
What?
kind of spokesman up in St. Louis or something, I think. For
what?
Local emergency management, maybe, or something like that. I saw him when something was going down up there in Missouri.
Wow.
I said, hey, I know that guy. He was on our show. But, yeah, a lot of paddlers still out there getting after it. What else you got on your list, Ryan?
The Dark Sleeper. Did you see the Dark Sleeper? I don't want to say knockoff. I want to say flattery is the highest form of imitation is the highest form of flattery. That's it. The Berkeley. Did you see the Berkeley one?
What's the difference? It's got that monofilament deal over the top instead of the fin.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I want to get into this for a second. What do you think about these bait companies that imitate closely the original of these things? What do y'all? I mean, this one was an obvious one, right? Like what? I mean, where's the line on that kind of stuff? Do you think?
There is no line. It's a big gray blob.
Big gray blob. All right.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you can change colors. You can change a mold. You know, you can change a curvature in a mold, or you can add a monofilament weed guard instead of you can make minor alterations to your lures, give it a different name, and it's still kind of the same thing. I mean, you've got a whopper plopper and you got a chopo. You know,
stick baits.
Yeah, I mean, you got Cincos and hula sticks or whatever. I don't even know. Ochos.
Generals.
Yeah, I mean, you got
How many different versions of the brush hog are there out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At what point did that? I mean, and I know it's, I guess, a free market or whatever, but what point do you think in history did that become like the standard thing? I guess we see in automobiles a lot. Like,
I'm sure at some point there was probably, you can't patent a shape, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can patent a design, but like, you can't patent a crawfish replica. You can't patent a baitfish replica. I mean, that's really what these baits are doing. You're just imitating nature. So I don't know. I don't know where the line's drawn. That's why we have lawyers, I guess.
That's why lawyers still have jobs.
Tim's saying the whopper plopper was never patented.
I don't know. I don't know that.
Well, there was a top raider before there was a whopper plopper. That was a musky bait.
Yeah. It's happening and always going to happen, I would say. Just
Absolutely.
Because it's every year at ICAST, you're like, oh.
Well, and you can't stop China from knocking off stuff, so
yeah,
that stuff will never stop.
Yeah, Berkeley said touche and copied a Berkeley that Gilly is a knockoff from, was it Japan or China, one or the other? So they went
Japan, I think, yeah.
But yeah, it's the way of the world. You got anything else, Ryan?
That's all I got, man.
All right.
Oh, the U.S. Open was postponed.
Oh, COVID protocol. The parade was going to be a danger to the community. Super spreader.
If all 6 of those people showed up again crossing the street, it's really been a mess.
No, it was probably the best move. I mean,
Really been a mess.
I think the end of the year, unless it's a real championship, people are, like Jay said it earlier, people are fatigued by the end of the year and just really not wanting to, do something else besides, you got the KBF National Championship, the TOC, Trail Championships, all this stuff happening, All-American. They didn't need something else to follow.
I just wonder how much of it was really COVID, or is COVID the excuse for, we don't think, the planning doesn't appear to be great. It was kind of put out there last minute. They had to know they weren't going to get a good turnout.
There was six or 10 people signed up, something like that. I mean, it wasn't far out of single digits. I think if they want to make that a success, they're obviously going to have to do more promotion, but I think they're going to have to kind of get into the broader base of the angling community and show, what it could do if it were properly, promoted and staffed. Yeah. I think if you see a big attendance event, if you make it a big deal, like if you really make it a big deal, I think their payout scale is like a 50-50 split or something on that open. You can't do that. That's not going to do anybody any good. Nobody wants to show up and fish for that. They need to increase their payout, but they need to show something on the other end of why this is prestigious. Like not just because you made it up last year, but why is this prestigious? Like, what is this going to do, for you or for your career, or for your reach or whatever you're looking for? But money's the number one thing. Is you're going to have a big draw to get these people to come to Cookeville, to fish an event. I think so. Maybe they'll go back to the drawing board. What's that?
I talked to him. I said, do we need to have that guy on here and talk to him about that?
Yeah, no, I think it'd be great. I mean, I think it'd be like, I'm completely fine. Like, I think it would be good to give them input and help them grow it and move it along. I think the concept's cool. Like, they do it in the bass boat world. I think, what is it, like Scott Martin and them participate in that stuff every year?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool concept, fishing against other countries or whatever. That's neat. But, I mean, you have to
World's
grow
been
it.
doing that for a minute.
Yeah.
But you have to grow it from a legitimate point. You can't grow it from some 50-50 money grab and be like, all right, this is gonna be awesome, guys. Come on, everybody get out and sign up. That's not gonna cut it.
No.
Dang. Josh Evans made a solid point. KBF National Championship is only at 90 heads a month out.
I saw that, man. What do y'all think about that? Is that just procrastination, or is it really going to be that low this year? I mean, it's obviously going to be more than 90, but where's it going to go? That's usually a 300 or 400 angler deal.
Procrastination. I mean, that's
Procrastination.
That's
Think it
typical
still
of the
blows
kayak
up?
community.
Yeah, I mean, lacrosse had 30 people a week out and then hit 110. So,
Forgive me for not knowing, but in the past, KBF had it was a few months out. You had to be signed up. Is that not the case anymore? Or
Not now.
I'm not sure.
Not now, player. I don't know, man. I think it's lost some steam. It's lost some momentum. I think it's lost some luster. I still think they'll probably get 200 or 300 people. What'd they have on Gunnersville last year, Jay?
I don't know.
Wasn't it like 3? It was 3 something, wasn't
Maybe.
it? 3 or 4?
Maybe 3 and change.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
and there was probably 12 to 1,300 people qualified. So that's pretty bizarre to only have. I mean, I'm serious. There's a lot of people qualified. It's kind of like the BASS is kind of the in between of the KBF, NC, and the TOC. It doesn't qualify as many, but there's still quite a few, and they don't pull everybody that's qualified either. So I don't know how you
and you won't. There's not. I mean, honestly, the TOC won't pull everybody that's qualified, because some people may qualify, like Matt, for instance, and not to use you as an example because I actually think you're going to show up, but somebody from California that just is like, hey, I don't want to spend the money to travel out there, for a 3-day tournament, and I get that part, but. So, I think that may be an issue. And then I'm sure the COVID deal, like some different states. I know Louisiana right now, as a matter of fact, for most everything, Louisiana requires the vaccine passport to like eat in restaurants or anything. So, I mean, all that stuff's going to factor in moving forward.
Yeah. And let me tell you this, guys. I've missed the TOC by 1 spot twice. And if somehow I end up 1 spot out in the points and someone doesn't show up, I have no shame in taking a roll down. So slide that on over towards me.
Jay, if you know anybody that has any pull at Hobie,
if somebody
let them know Jeff would love to be in.
Attend, I will
Hey, man,
a provisional spot if it comes to it.
They run a tight ship over there.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I got another event left. I'm good. Pick
That's right.
Would you consider dressing up like a Californian if Matt can't make it?
I think we have an H&M close by, and I'll go over there and see what I can do.
I quit. I'm done. I'm done with this.
Yeah. You're out. Unplug the mic. You're done. Okay. It's been a fun night, man. I know everybody's tired. I know Matt and Jay have to be. I'm beat, running on fumes, but it's still been a fun night. We appreciate y'all taking the time tonight.
Be safe on your drive, Matt. Thanks for coming on, Jay. Quit fishing, man. You've done enough this year.
Yeah, Jay, just sit out Pickwick and coach me up so I can get over there with you.
I mean, I haven't really won anything, so like,
you don't
I've
have
been
to.
doing good, but y'all act like I've been winning everything.
Hey,
I
dude,
haven't
look,
won anything.
Seth Feider's the baddest man on the planet, and he didn't win one event this year.
So that's true. That's true.
Facts.
He did.
Yeah.
But he's got the haircut and the mustache.
Yeah. I need some kind of like sexy trademark. I just don't really know what it is.
You got a dog named Hobie, man. What else you need?
I do. He's a good little dude.
Do you have your belly button pierced yet?
Ooh, that's a good idea. I could wear like little tank tops and stuff.
Yes.
Yee.
It's all about branding. You'd be kayak version. You'd be the opposite of Matt Robertson in kayak fishing. That'd be you.
Oh, hey, I can't get on Matt Robertson's level. My wife won't allow that.
I don't. Not many civilized people would. Oh, all right, folks.
I've known him for a long time too.
Hey, he's a good one though. I want to bring him back on when he has enough service for us to hear all the stuff that he says.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you watch it from, and of course, if you're on the podcast later, appreciate y'all.
Matt, congratulations, dude.
Yeah, congrats,
Thank
Matt
you.
and Jay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
See y'all
Later.
We're gonna get on the road.